"There's a drug in your drink," the poor maid whispered. Then the STERILE CEO exposed his fiancée. His phone vibrated with Ariana's 10th call. Outside, Miami sparkled, oblivious to the betrayal unfolding in the glass tower above. Have you ever felt your entire world shift on its axis in a single moment? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The champagne flute froze midair as the hotel maid leaned in, her voice barely audible above Miami's glittering rooftop celebration. "There's a drug in your drink, Mr. Bennett." Cole Bennett blinked, his Rolex catching the sunset's final glow. Around him, Miami's elite clinked glasses, their laughter mixing with the soft jazz from the string quartet. His fiancée, Ariana, stood across the room, radiant in white silk, accepting congratulations with practiced grace. "Excuse me?" Cole lowered his untouched drink, studying the young woman in the standard-issue hotel uniform. Her eyes darted nervously toward the exit. "Check the rim," she whispered. "White powder, not salt." Before he could respond, she backed away, disappearing into the service area with quick, practiced steps. Cole held the flute to the light. There it was, a faint residue where his lips would have touched. His stomach tightened as he placed the glass on a nearby table, signaling discreetly to his head of security. "Is something wrong?" Ariana glided to his side, her perfume wrapping around him like a memory of their first night together. Her fingers brushed his arm, nails painted the exact shade of her lipstick. "Just a work call," he lied, watching her expression. Did her smile falter? "I need to step away for a moment." In the security office downstairs, Cole stood rigid as the footage played. There it was, Ariana embracing him. Then as she pulled away, her right hand moving over his drink, something falling from her palm. The security chief rewound, zoomed in, the powder dissolving into champagne. "Run tests on the glass," Cole said, his voice hollow. Now, 3 hours later, in his penthouse overlooking Biscayne Bay, Cole stared at the chemical analysis on his tablet. Not poison, something far worse. "It's an experimental fertility drug," his private physician explained over the secure line, "designed to temporarily override genetic barriers to reproduction. Given your medical history." "My sterility," Cole finished. The secret he'd shared only with Ariana after his proposal. The condition he'd been born with, accepted, built his life around. His phone vibrated with Ariana's 10th call. Outside, Miami sparkled, oblivious to the betrayal unfolding in the glass tower above. Have you ever felt your entire world shift on its axis in a single moment? When someone you trusted completely proves they never knew you at all? Drop a comment below if you've experienced that devastating moment of clarity. Cole canceled the call, then pulled up the hotel employee records. The maid, dark eyes, determined expression. Why would she risk her job to warn a stranger? What did she know about Ariana's plans? The elevator pinged. "Ariana." He slipped the tablet under a cushion as the doors opened. "Where did you go?" Her voice trembled with what he once would have read as concern. Now he recognized it as fear. "Everyone was asking for you." "I felt sick suddenly," he said, watching her closely. "Something in my drink, maybe." Her face pale beneath perfect makeup. "That's ridiculous. You're being paranoid." "Am I?" He pulled out his phone, showing her the frozen security image, her hand over his glass. "What were you giving me, Ariana? And what?" Her composure cracked. "You wouldn't understand. The board expects an heir. Your investors expect stability. We discussed adoption, but it's not the same as drugging me." Cole's voice turned to ice. "Altering my body chemistry without consent? It's a miracle treatment. Do you know what people would pay for this chance? To overcome what's wrong with you." The penthouse fell silent. In that moment, Cole realized the woman before him was a stranger. "Security will escort you out," he said quietly. "Don't come back." As the elevator doors closed on her tear-streaked face, Cole's phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "She's not working alone. Be careful who you trust." 24 hours earlier, Cole Bennett had everything. Now he stood in his penthouse holding test results proving the woman he loved had tried to alter his body without consent. Outside his floor-to-ceiling windows, Miami continued its endless party. Yachts dotted Biscayne Bay, their lights flickering like earthbound stars. He proposed to Ariana on one of those yachts just 6 months ago, sliding a 10-carat diamond onto her finger as fireworks exploded overhead. The memory turned sour in his mouth. Cole poured 3 fingers of bourbon and pulled up the complete lab analysis on his tablet. The compound found in his champagne was cutting edge, a revolutionary fertility treatment not yet approved by any regulatory body. Street value, roughly $500,000 per dose. Side effects, unknown. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing since security removed Ariana from the building. 47 missed calls, 68 text messages pleading for understanding. 1 voice message from his business partner asking why he'd humiliated Ariana in front of everyone who matters. The bourbon burned his throat. Who else knew? Who had helped her? Cole pulled up the security footage again, studying the hotel maid who had warned him. Young, maybe mid-20s. Dark hair pulled back severely. Eyes too intelligent for her position. She'd risked everything to warn him. Why? Have you ever discovered someone in your life wearing a mask so perfect you never suspected what lay beneath? How did you handle the moment the mask slipped? Share your experience in the comments. A knock at his door jolted him from his thoughts. Cole approached cautiously, checking the security feed. His chief financial officer stood in the hallway, looking concerned. Marcus. Cole opened the door. It's nearly midnight. The board called an emergency meeting, Marcus said, stepping inside without waiting for invitation. His eyes scanned the room, lingering on the bourbon. Ariana contacted several members. They're concerned about your stability. My stability? Cole laughed without humor. She drugged me, Marcus. She made a mistake out of love, Marcus countered, moving toward the bar. She wants to give you what you've always wanted, a family legacy. Cole froze. I never told you about my condition. Marcus poured himself a drink, too comfortable in the space. We've been friends for 15 years, partners for 10. Did you think I wouldn't know? Who else? Cole's voice hardened. The inner circle, the board, your father's old partners. Marcus sipped his drink. They're worried about succession planning, Cole. Bennett Technologies needs a Bennett heir. So, you all decided to experiment on me? Without my knowledge. We decided to help you overcome a limitation. Marcus set down his glass. The treatment is revolutionary. Think about it. Your genetic code temporarily rewritten. You could father children, continue your family line. Get out. Cole's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Don't be dramatic. Ariana made a tactical error, but the objective remains sound. The board expects. I said get out. Cole slammed his glass down. And tell the board they'll have my resignation in the morning. As security escorted Marcus from the penthouse, Cole's phone lit up with another anonymous text. Your car is being tracked. Don't trust your usual drivers. Meet me at Ocean Drive Cafe. 7 a.m. Come alone. Tasha Maxwell had spent 3 years becoming invisible, scrubbing floors, changing sheets, keeping her eyes down, until the moment she chose to become visible again by saving a stranger. Now, she paced her tiny apartment above Ming's laundromat, the washing machines below providing white noise against the thoughts racing through her mind. 3 years of careful research, of hiding her true identity, of building her case file against Biocore Pharmaceuticals, all potentially blown because she couldn't watch a man drink a spiked champagne. The apartment was barely 400 square feet. 1 room with a hot plate, a mattress on the floor, and walls covered with newspaper clippings, medical journal articles, and photographs connected by red yarn. At the center, the Biocore logo and its subsidiary companies, including Bennett Technologies. Tasha tugged at her hair, freed from severe work bond. On her bed lay her hotel uniform and name tag, reading Maria. Beside it, her real identification. Natasha Maxwell, MD, former rising star at Emory University Medical School, now a convicted felon for a crime she never committed. She pulled out her burner phone and typed the anonymous warning to Cole Bennett. Would he even see it? Men like him lived in bubbles of protection, filtered information and assumed safety. He probably had people who screened his messages. But she had seen his face when he realized his fiancée had betrayed him. That shock couldn't be faked. Have you ever been invisible to those around you? Watched and observed while no one truly sees you? It's amazing what you learn when people think you don't matter. Tasha checked her watch, 1:58 a.m. Sleep was impossible. She pulled out her medical journal and flipped to her notes on the compound she'd recognized in Bennett's drink. BX 790, the cutting-edge fertility treatment she'd been researching when BioCore framed her for falsifying prescription records. The drug that could temporarily override genetic barriers to reproduction at potentially catastrophic cost to the recipient's DNA. Her hands trembled. For 3 years, she cleaned hotel rooms by day and built her case by night, gathering evidence of BioCore's illegal human trials, their bribed officials, their silenced test subjects, all while working under a false name, paid under the table, invisible to the system that had destroyed her. And now she'd revealed herself to save Cole Bennett, CEO of a company, on her conspiracy board. The sound of footsteps outside her door made her freeze. Heavy, deliberate, not the usual shuffling of her elderly neighbors. Tasha grabbed her emergency bag, cash, fake IDs, medical documents, and slid toward the window leading to the fire escape. The footsteps stopped. A shadow blocked the sliver of light under her door. Knock, knock, knock. She held her breath. I know you're in there, a deep voice said quietly. The hotel gave me this address when I described you. I'm alone. Tasha peered through the peephole. Cole Bennett stood in her hallway, his designer suit replaced by jeans and a dark jacket. In his hand, a security photo of her face from the hotel. I need to know why you saved me, he said to the door, and why you ran. Tasha closed her eyes, calculating risks and possibilities. Then, against every instinct for self-preservation, she unlocked the door. The billionaire stood in her threadbare apartment, his custom suit worth more than her entire life, asking the one thing she couldn't give him: trust. Cole Bennett took in a small space with a single sweep of his gaze. The mattress on the floor, the makeshift investigation board, the medical journals stacked in precise towers. His eyes lingered on her face, recognition dawning. You're not just a hotel maid, he said. Tasha crossed her arms. And you're not just another rich guy with woman troubles. How did you know what was in my drink? No small talk. Direct question. She could respect that. I'm a doctor, she said, then corrected herself. Was a doctor. Before BioCore Pharmaceuticals framed me for prescription fraud when I started asking questions about their experimental fertility drugs. She watched his face for recognition at the company name. There it was, a slight tightening around his eyes. BioCore is a subsidiary of Bennett Technologies, he said slowly. Acquired 3 years ago by your board of directors, Tasha confirmed, pouring coffee into 2 chipped mugs. Around the same time, they began Phase 3 trials of BX 790, the compound in your champagne. Cole accepted the coffee, their fingers brushing briefly. An unexpected current passed between them, quickly suppressed. Tell me everything, he said. Have you ever shared your deepest secret with a complete stranger? Sometimes the person with the least connection to your life is the only one who can truly see your situation clearly. For the next hour, Tasha laid out her case. How she'd been researching fertility treatments when she discovered irregularities in BioCore's trial data. How she'd been silenced with fabricated evidence of prescription tampering. How she'd lost her medical license, her reputation, everything. Then rebuilt her life with a singular focus, exposing the truth. The drug they gave you isn't just about fertility, she explained, pointing to molecular diagrams in her journal. It's designed to temporarily override genetic markers, not just for reproduction, but for specific traits. They're trying to control what kind of children are produced. Designer babies, Cole murmured. Exactly, but without informed consent of the genetic contributors. Tasha studied him. Your fiancé, ex-fiancé, he corrected. She didn't just want you fertile. She wanted you to father a very specific type of child. One with traits selected by whoever designed this formula. Cole set down his mug. Why would you warn me? I own the company that destroyed your life. Tasha met his gaze directly. Because no one should lose control of their own body. Not even a privileged CEO who never noticed the invisible people cleaning his hotel room. A hint of a smile touched his lips. Fair enough. What happens now, she asked. I resigned from Bennett Technologies. Go public with what Ariana tried to do. Use my resources to. A flash of light from outside cut him off. They both turned to the window in time to see the reflection of a camera lens from the building across the street. They found me, she whispered, her blood running cold. Which means they found you too. Cole was already moving, grabbing her emergency bag. Is there a back exit? Fire escape, Tasha said, shoving her medical journals into the bag. But my car won't be fast enough. He pulled out his phone. I have a driver I still trust. We need to move. Now. She grabbed only 3 things before running. Her medical journal, her false ID, and the hand of a man who represented everything she'd grown to distrust. Rain pounded Miami's streets as Cole pulled her through the laundromat's back door, past startled late-night customers, and into the alley where a sleek black Aston Martin waited. The engine hummed to life as they slid into butter-soft leather seats. Your emergency getaway car is a $200,000 sports car. Tasha fastened her seatbelt, glancing behind them. Subtle. Not exactly inconspicuous, Cole admitted, pulling into traffic, but faster than anything following us. Headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. An SUV with tinted windows, accelerating to match their speed. Cole swore under his breath and took a sharp right, then an immediate left, weaving through Miami's neon-washed streets. Who are they? Tasha asked, knuckles white as she gripped the door. Could be BioCore Security. Could be my board's private contractors. Cole's jaw tightened. I've made powerful people very nervous in the last 24 hours. The SUV stayed with them, joined now by a second vehicle. Cole downshifted and accelerated, the engine roaring as they shot forward. Rain blurred the windshield, turning streetlights into smears of color. There's an abandoned medical clinic in Overtown, Tasha said, checking the map on her phone. I've used it before when I needed to lie low. Take the next exit. Have you ever felt that rush of adrenaline when everything changes in an instant? When your carefully planned life dissolves and you're left running on pure instinct? Let me know in the comments if you've experienced that moment when safety transforms into danger. The clinic's windows were boarded up, its parking lot cracked with weeds pushing through asphalt. Cole parked behind the building, cutting the lights. They waited in darkness, listening to rain hammer the roof, watching for headlights that never came. We lost them, Cole finally said, his shoulders relaxing slightly. Inside, the clinic was dusty but dry. Emergency generators still functioned, providing dim lighting and, surprisingly, running water. Tasha moved through the space with familiarity, pulling supplies from hidden caches. You've done this before, Cole observed. 3 years of investigating corruption teaches you to have backup plans for your backup plans. She spread her medical journals on a former examination table. We need to understand exactly what they gave you, or tried to. Under the weak lighting, Tasha examined the molecular structure she'd copied for BioCore's research. Her fingers traced the diagram, then froze. This isn't just about getting you fertile, Cole. This formula, it's designed to create a very specific type of child. Someone engineered this to change your genetic legacy forever. Cole moved closer, their shoulders nearly touching as they bent over the journal. Ow! The compound temporarily overrides genetic markers that prevent reproduction. Yes, but it also amplifies certain genetic traits while suppressing others. Tasha looked up at him, their faces inches apart. Intelligence, physical attributes, even personality tendencies. They were designing my child without my knowledge, Cole said, his voice hollow. Using me as a carrier for traits they selected, Tasha finished. And your fiancé was part of it. Why me? The question hung between them. Tasha's eyes moved to the Bennett Technologies logo on his jacket. Your company controls the largest private genetic database in the world. Your father pioneered gene therapy treatments. And you have access to everything. Cole ran a hand through his damp hair. My entire life, my father told me I would leave a legacy greater than his. I never imagined this is what he meant. Outside, thunder cracked as rain continued to fall, washing away their tracks as Miami searched for them in vain. His secluded lake house was meant to be a wedding gift for Ariana. Instead, it became a fortress for a woman who'd slept on shelter cots after losing everything. Dawn broke over Lake Okeechobee as Cole's car crunched up the gravel driveway. The modernist structure rose from the shoreline like a glass monument to wealth. Walls of windows reflecting water and sky, clean lines cutting into the Florida landscape. Your safe house is a mansion, Tasha observed dryly as they stepped inside. It's off the grid, Cole replied, deactivating the alarm system. Shoulder forward. No property records under my name. Not even my assistant knows about it. The interior breathed understated luxury, Italian furniture, abstract art, and a kitchen bigger than Tasha's entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows turned the lake into living wallpaper, morning light dancing across rippled water. No one will find us here, Cole assured her, dropping their bags. At least not for a while. Tasha wandered through the space, acutely aware of her worn jeans and faded t-shirt against the backdrop of perfection. Why would you build this place if no one knows about it? Everyone needs somewhere they can be themselves, he said simply, without expectations. Night fell quickly, bringing with it an unexpected thunderstorm that cut power to the main grid. As backup generators hummed to life, the house glowed with candlelight and shadows. They sat on opposite ends of a couch, the rain lashing windows between them and the angry lake. When was the last time you told your story to someone who had no preconceptions about you? Someone who saw you clearly because they had no history clouding their vision? Drop a comment if you've experienced that rare freedom. Tell me about before, Cole said, wine glass dangling from his fingers. Before BioCore, Tasha stared into her own glass. I was chief resident at Emory, specialized in reproductive medicine. First in my family to finish college, much less medical school. And then you noticed the trial discrepancies. Participants reporting side effects that weren't being documented. Genetic markers showing strange patterns. She looked up at him, asked questions. 2 weeks later, pharmacies across Atlanta reported falsified prescriptions with my signature. My license was suspended pending investigation. My research confiscated. Lightning flashed, illuminating the pain etched across her face. By the time I gathered evidence to fight back, the board had ruled. License revoked. Career over. Her voice remained steady. I lost my apartment, my reputation, my future. My mother stopped taking my calls. So you disappeared, Cole said quietly. Became Maria, the hotel maid. Kept watching BioCore. Built my case piece by piece. Her eyes met his. Until I saw your fiancé slip something into your drink. The confession hung between them, pulling them closer despite the physical distance. Outside, thunder cracked over the lake. My turn, she said, setting down her glass. Why does the CEO of Bennett Technologies care about a drug making him fertile? Most men in your position would welcome the chance. Cole's expression darkened. Because it wasn't my choice. And because I've spent my life building something that wasn't dependent on biological legacy. He moved to the window, his reflection ghostly against the storm beyond. My father was obsessed with genetic perfection. When I was diagnosed with sterility at 16, he called it the family's greatest disappointment. I'm sorry, Tasha said, genuine compassion breaking through her defensive walls. Don't be. It made me build something that mattered beyond bloodlines. He turned to face her. At least I thought it did. Until I discovered my entire board conspiring to alter my DNA without consent. Cole returned to the couch, sitting closer this time. The candlelight caught gold flecks in his eyes. Strange to find honesty in someone who has every reason to hate me. His fingers brushed her cheek, hesitating, seeking permission rather than assuming access. Is this okay? The question itself was an aphrodisiac after years of invisibility. Tasha leaned forward, her lips answering the question words couldn't. The media painted him as a jealous fiancé, forgetting the only crime he'd committed was being born without the ability to create what everyone expected of him. Morning light filtered through blinds as Tasha woke on the lake house couch, a blanket carefully draped over her. Last night's kiss lingered on her lips, tender, questioning, then abruptly ended by the breaking news alert on both their phones. She found Cole in the kitchen, coffee forgotten as he stared at the wall-mounted television. Every news channel showed the same headline: tech billionaire's fiancé missing, foul play suspected. His face stared back from the screen, labeled person of interest. "They're saying I did something to her," he said without turning. His voice flat, resigned. Tasha moved beside him, watching a crying Ariana's mother plead for her daughter's safe return. The woman claimed Cole had become unstable and controlling after their engagement, refusing to let Ariana make decisions about their future family. "My daughter just wanted children," the tearful woman told reporters. He humiliated her in front of everyone, then took her somewhere. "We haven't heard from her since." Cole switched channels. The story was everywhere, each version more twisted than the last. Bennett Technologies' stock plummeted in real time, a graphic in the corner of the screen tracking his company's falling value with almost gleeful precision. "They've turned me into a monster overnight," he said. "How quickly does the world judge without evidence? Have you ever watched public opinion turn against you based on half-truths and carefully crafted narratives? Tell me your experience in the comments below." Tasha squeezed his arm. "We need to find Ariana. She's the only one who can confirm what really happened." "She's in on it," Cole said. "This disappearance is staged. Maybe, or maybe she's being used too." Cole's phone rang, his lawyer calling for the 10th time. He finally answered, putting it on speaker. "Need to turn yourself in, Cole," the man was saying. "This looks terrible. Your board is holding an emergency meeting to discuss removing you as CEO. There's talk of freezing your assets." "Can they do that?" Tasha whispered. "They're saying I'm using company resources to hide from authorities," Cole replied, then addressed his lawyer. "Daniel, I didn't do anything to Ariana. She's the one who tried to drug me." "That's not a defense that plays well, Cole. It sounds paranoid." The lawyer sighed. "Just come in. We'll sort this out." "Not yet," Cole said, ending the call. Tasha opened her laptop, connecting to the house's satellite internet. "We need to track Ariana's movements after she left her building." For hours, they worked side by side, Cole calling in favors from contacts not yet turned against him, Tasha searching medical facilities that might be conducting the fertility trials. As evening approached, Cole's private email pinged with an anonymous message. No text, just a video attachment. "It could be a trap," Tasha warned. "Malware to track our location." "Or proof," Cole countered, clicking play. The grainy security footage showed Ariana, very much alive, entering a private medical facility with Cole's closest friend and business partner, Marcus. Both were smiling as they whispered together. The timestamp, 2 hours after her reported disappearance. "Son of a bitch," Cole whispered, watching his mentor escort his ex-fiancée through doors marked BioCore Research Division. She borrowed his ex-fiancée's gown, pinned up her hair, and walked into a world that had declared her unworthy, all to save the man now watching her with undisguised admiration. "Stop staring," Tasha muttered, adjusting the midnight blue silk against her skin. "You're making me nervous." Cole leaned against the doorframe, his custom tuxedo a stark contrast to the casual clothes he'd worn for days. Clean-shaven, hair perfectly styled, he transformed back into the billionaire CEO, except for the new wariness in his eyes. "The dress fits perfectly," he observed. "Ariana left enough clothes here to outfit a small country," Tasha replied, applying lipstick with a steady hand. "Lucky we're the same size." The plan was dangerous but necessary. The annual Henderson Foundation Gala would host every board member of Bennett Technologies, along with executives for BioCore, with Cole declared a person of interest in Ariana's disappearance. His appearance would create exactly the distraction they needed to gather intelligence. "Remember," Cole said as they approached the downtown Miami hotel in his second, less conspicuous car, "these people ruined your life without blinking. They'll do it again if they recognize you. Tasha adjusted her elaborate updo, designed to change her face shape. They never really saw me before. Why would they start tonight? Have you ever worn a mask to survive? Pretended to be someone else to protect your truth? The most dangerous game we play is sometimes the one where we hide in plain sight. Camera flashes greeted them at the entrance. Cole's appearance sent immediate ripples through the crowd. Faces turning, whispers spreading. He kept his hand at the small of Tasha's back, guiding her through the gauntlet of shocked expressions and hastily hidden phones. Cole Bennett, a silver-haired man, approached, champagne flute in hand. Bold of you to show your face. Roger, Cole nodded coolly. Allow me to introduce my companion, Dr. Elizabeth Chun, visiting from Johns Hopkins. Tasha extended her hand with practiced confidence. A pleasure. The police are looking for you, Roger continued, ignoring her. Concerning your fiancée's disappearance. Ex-fiancée collective. And I'm not hiding, Roger. I'm right here, attending my company's charity event. Crystal chandeliers splintered light across the ballroom as they moved deeper into the crowd. Champagne flowed freely while conversation carried secrets worth millions. The same people who consumed gossip about Cole's downfall now welcomed him with strained smiles and wary eyes. Dance with me, Cole murmured, leading her to the floor where other couples swayed to a jazz quartet. Marcus just entered with the board chairman. His hand at the small of her back guided her through steps she'd never learned, his lips against her ear whispering instructions that felt like seduction. Follow my lead, he murmured, though they both knew she was the stronger one. Their bodies moved together with surprising harmony, close enough to share breath, to feel heartbeats through layers of formal wear. For a moment, they weren't fugitives, but simply a man and woman caught in the gravity of unexpected connection. Cole, a deep voice interrupted them. This is unexpected. They turned to face an elegant older man, steel gray hair and calculating eyes. Cole's mentor and chairman of Bennett Technologies, Howard Bennett, his father's oldest friend. Uncle Howard, Cole's voice remained steady. You look well for someone who helped orchestrate drugging me and framing me for kidnapping. The older man's smile never faltered. Such imagination. We should discuss this privately. His gaze shifted to Tasha, lingering uncomfortably. Without your guest, Dr. Chin stays with me, Cole replied. Howard's eyes narrowed, studying Tasha's face with growing recognition. Have we met before, Doctor? You seem familiar. I doubt it, Tasha answered smoothly. I would remember meeting Bennett Technologies chairman. Across the ballroom, Marcus suddenly straightened, staring directly at them. He leaned to whisper to a security guard, pointing in their direction. He knows, Tasha whispered, feeling the older man's eyes linger on her face with recognition. We need to leave now. But the doors behind them had already been locked, security guards moving to block each exit. The service corridor stretched ahead like freedom, until bullets splintered the wall beside them, turning their escape into something far more primal. Survival. Down! Cole yanked Tasha behind a metal cart as another shot rang out. The evening's elegant facade had shattered in seconds. Designer shoes and borrowed gowns forgotten as they scrambled through the hotel kitchen. Startled staff scattered as Cole and Tasha burst through swinging doors, alarms blaring behind them. The loading dock offered momentary shelter behind stacked crates. They're shooting at us, Tasha gasped, the reality of their situation hitting her. Actually shooting. BioCore isn't just about fertility drugs. Cole pulled her toward an employee parking area. Whatever they're doing with genetic manipulation is worth killing for. Rain had started again, plastering Tasha's gown to her skin as they ran between parked cars. Cole spotted a delivery driver leaving his keys in the ignition of a small truck while unloading boxes. Within seconds, they were pulling away, headlights off, as security flooded the loading area. We can't go back to the lake house, Cole said, navigating through back streets. It's the first place they'll look. Tasha checked her phone. The news is already reporting you attacked security guards at the gala. They're calling you unstable, dangerous. Cole's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. We need transportation they can't track. 20 minutes later, they abandoned the delivery truck in a shopping mall parking lot and took a rideshare to Miami's Marina District. Cole paid cash to a boat owner who asked no questions, and soon they were cutting through darkness, Miami's glittering skyline receding behind them. Wealth and danger shrinking to pinpricks of light while the vast Atlantic offered anonymous darkness. When does attraction become undeniable? Is there a moment when protection turns to passion? When danger strips away everything but the raw truth of what matters most? They found a small motel an hour up the coast, the kind that accepted cash and didn't require ID. The room was clean but basic, faded bedspreads, laminate furniture, and a bathroom with water-stained tiles. "You're bleeding," Tasha noticed, pointing to Cole's arm where fabric had torn, revealing a graze from one of the bullets. "It's nothing," he dismissed, but sat when she pushed him gently onto the bed. She cleaned the wound with supplies from the bathroom, her doctor's training evident in her confident movements. Their faces were close, breath mingling as she worked. "Why are you still here?" Cole asked suddenly. "You could walk away. Start over somewhere new." Tasha's hands paused on his skin. "The same reason I warned you at the party. Some things are worth fighting for." The last barrier between them dissolved with those words. His lips found hers with urgent need, hands tangling in her hair, pulling pins until it fell loose around her shoulders. They came together like waves against shore, inevitable, powerful, neither asking permission from a world that had taken so much already. Her fingers mapped the contours of privilege on his skin while his lips traced the journey of her struggle along her collarbone. The borrowed gown puddle on worn carpet beside his tuxedo, symbols of their separate worlds abandoned in favor of the truth they created together. Dawn filtered through cheap curtains, illuminating their intertwined bodies. Cole reached for his phone out of habit, checking for news updates. His sharp intake of breath woke Tasha. "What is it?" she asked, voice husky with sleep. Cole showed her the screen, a message from an encrypted number. "We have your fiancée. Trade yourself for her by midnight, or we release what she knows about the Bennett family's true history." "It's a trap," Tasha said immediately. "Yes," Cole agreed, sitting up. "But what does Ariana know about my family that's worth trading my life for?" The dynasty he'd inherited was built on more than innovation. It was built on stolen medicine, hidden trials, and decades of calculated genetic manipulation. Morning light streamed through dusty windows as Cole unlocked the abandoned storage facility on Miami's outskirts. The space hadn't been accessed in years, yet he'd kept paying the fees automatically, honoring his father's instruction never to let the lease lapse. "What is this place?" Tasha asked, following him into the climate-controlled room. "My father's private archives," Cole replied, flipping switches that illuminated rows of metal shelving. "Everything Bennett Technologies doesn't want the world to see." The facility smelled of forgotten paper and preserved secrets. Boxes lined the walls, each labeled with dates and project codes. Cole moved with purpose toward the back corner, pulling down containers marked Genesis Program, 1980 to 1995. "My father's earliest work," he explained, laying folders on a central table. Before Bennett Technologies became a tech company, it was Bennett Pharmaceuticals. They specialized in reproductive medicine. Tasha opened the nearest folder. Inside, clinical trial documents detailed experimental fertility treatments tested on volunteer subjects from lower-income neighborhoods. Many showed severe side effects carefully documented, but never reported to regulatory agencies. "They were experimenting on people who couldn't fight back," she whispered. Cole nodded grimly. "My father called them grateful participants, people desperate enough for the compensation that they'd sign anything." Hour after hour, they uncovered the foundation of Cole's inheritance. Medical ethics violations covered up deaths, and eventually, the shift to genetic manipulation. The pattern became clear. Bennett Sr. had been obsessed with controlling human genetic expression, particularly intelligence markers and physical resilience. What would you do if everything you believed about your family was suddenly questioned? When a foundation cracks, do you rebuild or walk away? Comment your thoughts below. Cole, Tasha's voice cut through the silence. Look at this. She'd found records bearing his father's signature alongside trial records with names carefully redacted, except for one that made her breath catch. Her own. Natasha Maxwell. Cole read, coming to stand behind her. Subject showed exceptional aptitude for pattern recognition and genetic analysis. Recommended for Phase 2 tracking. They were watching me, she realized, even before I started asking questions about BioCore. They had my name on a list. Not just you. Cole pointed to other names, brilliant scientists, researchers, doctors. They were tracking people with specific genetic markers. People who excelled in fields related to their research. Deeper in the archives, they found a truth Cole had never suspected. His own medical records, not just documenting his sterility, but revealing its cause. Experimental treatment, FK. 290, Tasha read aloud. Administered age 4 months to subject CB001. She looked up at Cole. Your father gave you an experimental drug as an infant. That caused my sterility, Cole finished, voice hollow. Not just that. Tasha pointed to notations about enhanced cognitive processing, heightened pattern recognition, and emotional regulation. He was trying to create a specific type of human. The sterility was an unintended side effect. He engineered his own son, Cole said, the reality crushing down on him. Then called me a disappointment when his experiment had consequences. The final document made everything clear. His mentor hadn't just been his father's friend. He'd been the lead researcher on Project Genesis. And Ariana hadn't been randomly chosen as Cole's perfect match. She'd been carefully selected for genetic compatibility with the experimental fertility treatment. Your entire board of directors, Tasha said slowly. They're all former Genesis researchers. They've been guiding your company toward genetic manipulation the whole time. Using my resources, my data, my life. Cole's voice hardened. And now they want to use Ariana to blackmail me into silence. What will you do? Tasha asked quietly. Cole gathered the most damning documents, sliding them into his bag. What I should have done years ago. Tear it all down. As they locked the facility behind them, Cole's phone rang, his executive assistant, the one person who might still be loyal. Lisa, he answered. I need your help. Cole, her voice trembled. The board just called an emergency session. They're voting to remove you and seize control of all Bennett assets. You need to get to the tower now. The company boardroom fell silent as he entered. Not as CEO returning to power, but as accuser holding evidence that could dismantle generations of wealth and control. Cole strode through Bennett Technologies' lobby, Tasha close behind. Security guards exchanged uncertain glances, caught between standing orders to detain him and lifetime habits of deference to the man whose name adorned the building. Mr. Bennett. The head of security approached cautiously. We've been instructed to. Call the board, Cole interrupted. Tell them I'm here with evidence they'll want to keep private. Very private. 60 stories above Miami, glass walls displayed a kingdom built on intellectual property and market dominance. But the true power lay in the flash drive in Cole's hand, containing 40 years of medical crimes committed in the name of genetic perfection. The elevator opened directly into the executive floor where Lisa waited, relief washing over her face. They're all in the boardroom, she whispered, including Howard and Marcus. They've been meeting for hours. Ariana? Cole asked. No sign of her. Lisa glanced at Tasha with curious eyes. She's with me, Cole assured her. Is the system still accepting my biometrics? Lisa nodded. They haven't locked you out yet. Too many critical systems tied to your access codes. Cole squared his shoulders, exchanging a look with Tasha. Her quiet nod gave him strength. Someone who finally saw him, not his name or position. How far would you go to expose a wrong that benefited you? Would you sacrifice privilege for principle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The boardroom doors slid open. 12 men and women in expensive suits turned as one. Conversation dying mid-sentence. At the head of the table sat Howard Bennett, Cole's uncle and chairman, looking more annoyed than surprised. Cole, Howard sighed, removing his glasses. This dramatic entrance is unnecessary. We're simply protecting the company from your recent instability. Cole placed a laptop on the table, connecting it to the room's display system. Is that what we're calling it now? Not covering up decades of illegal human experimentation. Uncomfortable glances circulated the table. Marcus cleared his throat. Your personal problems with Ariana have clearly affected your judgment. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. Nothing about Bennett Technologies will be private after today, Cole replied, typing commands that filled wall screens with damning documents. Project Genesis, the fertility trials, the genetic profiling of unknowing subjects, including me. Howard's composed facade finally cracked. You have no idea what you're doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, Cole countered, advancing through slides showing trial results, covered-up deaths, and gene manipulation programs. I'm ending what my father started. Tasha stepped forward, pointing to specific documents. 43 test subjects experienced catastrophic reproductive system failure after treatment. 17 died. All records destroyed except these backups. You brought an outsider into this. Howard's voice rose, recognition dawning as he studied Tasha more carefully. Wait, you're that disgraced doctor. Maxwell, the doctor your company framed when she discovered your illegal research, Cole corrected. You chose me because I was damaged like you, Cole realized aloud. You thought I'd do anything to fix what was broken. His mentor's smile never wavered. You still don't understand. Nothing about you is broken, Cole. You're exactly what we designed you to be. The confession hung in the air like poison. We perfected cognitive enhancement, emotional control, decision-making capability, Howard continued, warming to his subject. Your father's greatest achievement was you, Cole. A sterile side effect was a small price for creating the perfect corporate mind. Before Cole could respond, the building's security system blared a warning. Lisa burst through the doors, face pale. Armed men in the lobby, she gasped. They've disabled the regular security team. They're not here to arrest anyone, Cole realized, glancing at Howard's too calm expression. They're here to make sure nothing leaves this building, especially us. She slipped into medical scrubs like returning to her former life. Except this time, she was infiltrating the very facility that had created the evidence against her years ago. Are you sure about this? Cole asked, helping Tasha adjust her stolen ID badge. They stood in the service entrance of BioCore's private research wing, 5 miles from Bennett Technologies headquarters. No, she admitted, but it's our only chance to find Ariana and the evidence we need. While armed security had swarmed Bennett Tower, Cole and Tasha had escaped through an executive exit, using the chaos to their advantage. Howard's mistake had been forgetting the building's designs included his predecessor's paranoia, escape routes unknown even to current security. Now, as midnight approached, they enacted the riskiest part of their plan. Cole would create a distraction at the facility's main entrance, claiming to accept the trade for Ariana, while Tasha infiltrated through employee access. If anything happens, Cole began. Nothing will happen. Tasha cut him off, then softened. I spent 3 years preparing to expose this place. Trust me. Their lips met briefly, intensely, before she slipped through the door and he disappeared around the building's perimeter. Would you risk freedom to face those who destroyed you? Is vindication worth the cost of re-entering your personal nightmare? Let me know in the comments if you've ever returned to confront your past. The private medical wing gleamed with technology unavailable to public hospitals. Each room monitoring not just patients, but genetic outcomes, the cold precision of science divorced from ethics. Tasha moved with practiced confidence, clipboard in hand, nodding to passing staff who barely glanced at her. 3 years as invisible help had taught her the power of looking like you belonged. Her target lay in a restricted research sector where experimental treatments happened beyond regulatory oversight. The security panel required higher clearance than her stolen badge provided. Tasha checked her watch. Cole's distraction should be starting any moment. On cue, alarms blared at the facility's main entrance. Security personnel rushed toward the commotion, leaving their posts. Tasha slipped through the momentarily unguarded door. Room after room held monitoring equipment and medical supplies. She moved quickly, checking patient windows until there. Ariana lay connected to monitors, her sleeping form pale against white sheets. Multiple 4 lines fed into her arms, and a maternal monitoring belt encircled her abdomen. Tasha's medical training registered the truth immediately. Ariana wasn't just being held, she was already part of the experiment. Tasha entered the room, checking vital signs and data screens. 8 weeks pregnant, genetic modification procedures already underway. Consent forms signed with Ariana's flowing signature. She agreed to this. Tasha whispered to herself, reading treatment notes. She's a willing participant. Of course she is, came a voice from behind her. Unlike you, she understands the importance of our work. Tasha turned slowly. Howard Bennett stood in the doorway, looking almost grandfatherly in his lab coat. Dr. Maxwell, he continued, I always regretted how your situation was handled. Such potential, wasted. Where's Cole? Tasha demanded, having a long overdue conversation with Marcus. Howard approached Ariana's bedside, checking monitors with practiced ease. She's carrying the future, you know, the culmination of 40 years of research. You're experimenting on an unborn child, Tasha said, disgust evident. We're ensuring humanity's next step forward. Howard's eyes gleamed with zealous certainty. Cole's genetic material, properly modified, combined with Ariana's carefully selected traits. Alarms screamed through sterile corridors as Tasha reached for the 4 lines, intending to disconnect them. Howard grabbed her wrist. Don't, he warned. Disturbing the process now could harm both of them. Tasha hesitated, her doctor's instincts warring with her moral outrage. The moment's pause was enough for Howard to press a call button. Security to room 7, he announced calmly, and tell Marcus to bring our other guest. Dr. Maxwell needs to understand exactly what's at stake. The helicopter blades cut through night sky as 3 unlikely allies fled. A CEO whose company was imploding, a disgraced doctor vindicated too late, and a pregnant woman whose body contained proprietary technology worth billions. They'll track us, Ariana said, voice barely audible over the helicopter's roar. The baby has monitoring chips, microscopic transmitters. Cole glanced at Tasha, who continued applying pressure to his bleeding shoulder where Marcus's bullet had grazed him during their escape. Their plan had collapsed into improvisation when they discovered Ariana's condition. Not a hostage, but a vessel, carrying an experiment she'd initially agreed to before learning the full scope of BioCore's intentions. How long have you known? Cole asked his ex-fiancée. About the baby? 8 weeks. Ariana's hands protectively covered her stomach. About the genetic modifications? 3 days. They weren't just enhancing traits, Cole. They're creating something that isn't entirely human. Sunrise painted Miami's coastline gold as they touched down at the private airstrip, where Lisa waited with documents and emergency supplies. News helicopters circled downtown where federal agents swarmed Bennett Technologies, boxes of evidence wheeled out under court order. Cole had made one call before their escape, to a Justice Department contact with whom he'd shared the most damning evidence from his father's archives. The raid wasn't just about BioCore's current experiments, but decades of illegal genetic research. In the airstrip's small private hangar, Tasha examined Ariana with portable medical equipment, confirming her story. Microscopic monitoring devices circulated in her bloodstream, tracking the fetus's development and transmitting data. Can you remove them? Cole asked. Tasha shook her head, not without risking the pregnancy. They're designed to integrate with placental tissue. When systems fail us, who do we become? Are we defined by what was done to us or what we choose to do next? Share your answer in the comments. Alone for a moment while Ariana rested, Cole pulled Tasha into his arms, his forehead resting against hers. Her medical training made her touch clinical at first, checking for injuries, pupils, pulse, until professionalism dissolved into something primal. I thought I'd lost you, she whispered against his mouth, her hands no longer diagnostic but desperate. The kiss deepened, bodies seeking reassurance through connection, the night's terror transforming into life-affirming touch. They moved behind stacked crates, hidden from view, clothes pushed aside rather than removed in their urgency to feel skin against skin. "We barely know each other," Tasha breathed as his hands mapped her body. "We know what matters," Cole replied, lifting her against the wall. Their coupling was quick, intense, reality suspended in favor of sensation, of proof they were alive despite everything. Her nails dug into his shoulders as she muffled her cries against his neck, his own release following moments later. Back in a main hangar, they found Ariana studying flight maps. "I've made my decision," she announced without preamble. "I'm keeping the baby. Whatever they did, it's not the child's fault." "Howard will never stop looking for you," Cole warned. "For us," Ariana corrected, glancing meaningfully at Tasha. "The test results I saw, they weren't just monitoring me. They were monitoring Dr. Maxwell too." Tasha froze. "What?" "Your blood work from the facility." Ariana's eyes held a mixture of sympathy and bitter understanding. "The fertility drug they framed you for investigating? You were exposed during your research. The lab confirmed it last night. You're carrying too, Dr. Maxwell. About 6 weeks." The revelation landed like physical impact. Tasha's hand moved unconsciously to her abdomen while Cole stepped closer, protective and stunned. Ariana's voice cut through their shock. "They'll never stop hunting us. Not with what we're carrying. This baby isn't just an heir, Cole. It's intellectual property with a heartbeat." "And so is mine," Tasha whispered, the implications cascading through her mind, her inexplicable fatigue, the subtle changes she'd attributed to stress. 2 women, 2 altered pregnancies, one company desperate to reclaim its investment. The courthouse steps swarmed with cameras as an unlikely trio emerged victorious: a tech mogul, an exonerated doctor, and a whistleblower whose testimony had brought down a pharmaceutical empire. 6 months had transformed their reality. Cole stood before microphones, his hand resting protectively at the small of Tasha's back, her pregnancy now visibly curving beneath her professional blazer. Beside them, Ariana adjusted her statement cards, her own advanced pregnancy making her movements deliberate. "Today's ruling confirms what we've known from the beginning," Cole addressed the press. Bennett Technologies and BioCore conducted illegal human experimentation for decades. The court has frozen all assets pending further investigation and approved our proposal to restructure the company under ethical oversight. News cheer scrolled beneath their composed faces. Bennett Technologies transforms after scandal. Largest pharmaceutical settlement in history. Former medical student exonerated. Words that couldn't capture the night terrors. The trust rebuilt, the future reimagined. The trio had become unexpected allies in the months following their escape. Ariana, once the villain in their story, had proven instrumental in bringing down Howard's network, testifying about the coercion that followed her initial consent. Her pregnancy, like Tasha's, progressed under careful monitoring by doctors they personally vetted and trusted. Howard and Marcus faced decades in prison. The board members who'd known about Project Genesis were indicted, and Cole had surrendered majority control of his company to an ethics committee headed by former regulatory officials. How do you rebuild after complete destruction? What rises from the ashes when you've lost everything but found your purpose? I'd love to hear your thoughts on transformation in the comments. Back at the brownstone they now shared in a quiet Miami neighborhood, Cole and Tasha reviewed plans for the Bennett Maxwell Foundation for Medical Ethics, their joint venture funded by his remaining assets. The Justice Department approved our application to access the research data, Tasha said, scanning her tablet. "We can use it to help others affected by the experiments." Cole nodded, his focus drawn repeatedly to the gentle curve of her belly. The early terror had given way to cautious optimism as independent medical experts confirmed both pregnancies appeared healthy despite their unusual beginnings. "You're staring again," Tasha noted without looking up. "Can you blame me?" Cole moved beside her on the couch, hand gently covering hers. "Dr. Patel said the genetic modifications appear stable. No abnormalities beyond the enhanced cognitive markers. Our children will still be human, Tasha said firmly, just with advantages their parents never consented to. The journey had transformed them both. Cole had abandoned the glass tower of privilege to build something meaningful from his family's tainted legacy. Tasha had reclaimed her medical credentials, her research now focused on reversing unethical genetic modifications. Their relationship had deepened through crisis, built on a foundation of shared purpose rather than convenience or attraction alone. Trust formed in fire, tested by circumstances few couples could imagine. That evening, as they walked the beach near their home, Cole stopped suddenly, hand in his pocket. "There's something I've been waiting to ask you," he said, voice uncharacteristically uncertain. Tasha turned to face him, sunset painting her profile in amber light. For once, fear didn't follow surprise. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Two people who had lost everything except what mattered most, the choice of who they would become. "Ask," she said simply. 2 years earlier, he had stood atop Miami, believing legacy meant biological heirs and company stock. Now he understood it meant creating a world where medicine served humanity instead of controlling it. Children's laughter echoed through the lake house that had once been his refuge of solitude. The glass walls now reflecting family photos, medical journals, and the organized chaos of life rebuilt from broken pieces. Cole watched from the deck as Tasha guided their 15-month-old daughter's wobbly steps along the shoreline. Nearby, Ariana, now their foundation's communications director, photographed her own daughter examining shells with intense focus characteristic of both children's advanced development. The babies had been born 3 weeks apart, genetic cousins sharing markers known natural siblings would possess. Their births had made medical history, though the full details remained protected by court orders to shield the children from public scrutiny. The Bennett Maxwell Foundation had grown from necessity into the world's leading advocate for genetic ethics. Their work had identified over 200 people impacted by Bennett Technologies' secret experiments, providing treatment and compensation funded by the company's seized assets. Howard Bennett had been sentenced to 30 years for human experimentation crimes. Marcus received 20. The rest of the board members struck deals in exchange for testimony. The Bennett Technologies name remained, but its purpose had been fundamentally rewritten from profit to restitution. What would you fight to change if you discovered the systems around you were corrupt? Would you have the courage to rebuild rather than retreat? Tell me your answer in the comments below. Night fell quickly over the lake, children tucked into beds painted with constellations. In their bedroom, Cole pulled Tasha close, celebrating the 2nd anniversary of their first meeting. The night she leaned in and whispered a warning that changed everything. They came together with the familiarity of mapped territories and the wonder of continents still undiscovered, his lips tracing the cesarean scar below her navel, her fingers following the laugh lines deepening around his eyes, their bodies writing new history with each touch. "Any regrets?" he asked afterward, her head resting on his chest. Tasha considered the question. About exposing everything? About us? About the baby? Any of it? All of it? No, she said with certainty. They tried to control our futures. Taking that control back was the only choice that made sense. Outside their window, Miami continued its endless cycle of reinvention. A city built on sunshine and second chances. Their children would grow up knowing the complete truth of their origins, understanding both the darkness of unchecked ambition and the light of principled resistance. The following morning, they gathered at the Foundation's headquarters for the launch of their most ambitious project yet, a global genetic rights initiative aimed at preventing corporate ownership of human genetic information. Cameras rolled as Cole stepped to the podium, Tasha beside him, their matching wedding bands catching the light. 2 years ago, I discovered my entire life had been designed by others. He began. Today, we ensure no one else experiences that theft of autonomy. So what would you do if someone engineered your life without consent? Would you run? Or would you build something that lasts? Comment below with what you would have done in their shoes. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that make you feel, think, and maybe even heal a little. Tell me in the comments what aspect of their journey resonated most with you. And remember, the most powerful choices come when everything is taken away, leaving us with the only thing that truly matters, deciding who we become next. Because in the end, our legacy isn't written in our DNA. It's written in our decisions.